The Accountant 2, sequel to The Accountant from 2016 for some reason. I guess if we got Den of Thieves 2, why not this? The first movie is the one where Ben Affleck is autistic and is really good at math and killing people. As someone who is autistic myself, The Accountant is somehow one of the more positive representations of autism from Hollywood. The character is still a mathematical savant like you see in Rain Man and so many films. Meanwhile, I actually have a math learning disability, so that just shows you how wide the spectrum goes. And it does somewhat lean into autism stereotypes, but it actually discusses autism with a level head and way more respectfully than a lot of other films. You ever seen Mercury Rising from 1998? That one sucks. But The First Accountant is pretty okay about it, on top of being a decent-ish thriller. And Ben Affleck looks like the angry video game nerd, so have fun unseeing that one. Well, now we have The Accountant 2, where Ben Affleck teams up with his estranged brother, played by Jon Bernthal, to help with a missing persons case. Affleck doesn't really do any accounting, but his autism powers are what the Treasury agent lady needs to figure out the mystery of the missing people. Also, Daniela Pineda is here. I watched the original, immediately before heading out to see the new one, and I gotta say, the contrast in tone is wild. The first one is a fairly serious thriller, not much in the way of levity. The sequel has a lot more comedy. It's a pretty funny movie, which is a surprising change of pace. Sorta. Much of it comes from the scenes shared by Affleck and Bernthal, their characters being estranged siblings, the disconnect between them, and them trying to repair their relationship. Those two are great together, and there's plenty of scenes where the plot just takes a back seat and lets the characters chill out, argue, work out their problems, go square dancing and get into a fight at a cowboy bar. Yeah, they go to a cowboy bar, and Ben Affleck uses his autism powers to analyze the pattern of a square dance in order to get the number of a cowgirl he likes. That was probably my favorite part of the movie. It had nothing to do with the convoluted story, but it was a delight. Most of the humor, however, leans into Affleck's autistic traits. He feels more of an autistic stereotype here than in the first, and, sure, in the first one, his interactions with other characters were a little off. He was always blunt and straightforward, processed information differently, didn't have the same social cues that neurotypical people do. It was still movie autism, but it was fairly believable movie autism. The sequel damn near turns him into Sheldon Cooper, it felt like. Maybe not that extreme, but it was headed in that direction. Not just with his behavior, but with where the humor comes from, what the audience is supposed to find funny about his condition. It's not horrifically offensive as other depictions can be, but it was a little weird having the sequel kinda backtrack on itself. It is actually funny, so I'm way more lenient about it, though it rides that thin line. The part that was absolutely insane had to do with the Harbor neuroscience facility that basically functioned the same as the X-Men mansion. I'm dead serious. The autism school thing from the first movie has turned into Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters, in which autistic children are trained to become computer hacking wizards, the likes of which you've never seen. Not too different from mutants harnessing their superpowers. And there's a secret computer room that might as well be goddamn Cerebro. And there's another neurodivergent lady who's been helping Ben Affleck on all his missions this whole time, and she was in the first as well, though I think played by a different actress. Anyway, she's basically Professor X, but instead of being in a wheelchair, she's mute. And a computer genius, of course. That whole section of the movie was actually nuts. That is the Hollywood autism stereotype. Overall, The Accountant 2 is certainly more entertaining than the original, but in going bigger and funnier, it takes 2 steps back on almost everything I thought was good about it, especially how it portrays autistic characters. It's not necessarily harmful, I wouldn't say, but come on. I suppose if you enjoyed the first one or thought it was meh, then maybe you'll like the sequel. I think it's fine enough. I couldn't give two shits about the plot, but the characters make it worthwhile. The dynamic between the brothers is what sells the movie, and that's what kept it going for me. Not so much the story. And that's pretty much all I have to say about The Accountant 2. There's not much to get into. I really got nothing else to say, so that'll be it for this video. Yeah.